My name is Josh Schepis. I'm a Brooks PE teacher in Wichita, Kansas. I'm the athletic director as well. I'm a team leader for the exploratory team. We always do in class, so I'll do it now. The one good thing today, I was able to go and watch my daughter in the AVCTL championships, and she got a medal and was all league today. So that was really fun to get to watch her do that. So the project that I did for Principalship with Dr. Burke, altering behavior through structured recess. I was involved in a group, a committee that looked at the master schedule and how we can rearrange things on the master schedule to maximize both time, to maximize our teacher allotments that we had as we were going through some budget stuff. I think we were losing a couple of teachers, so we wanted to find out what the best way to allocate those would be, and ultimately those decisions rest on the principal, but we had some input in that. We had to also balance test scores for our math, and our language arts had become kind of flatlined and in fact showed a little bit of a dip on the 8th grade math scores. So we wanted to find out what else we could do to help improve those scores for the students. We looked at many things. A lot of the teachers involved and people in the committee wanted to cut recess, thinking they could use that 20 minutes for an enrichment time, or even to allow those kids the interventions that they needed. I looked at many of the kids that currently had interventions, and in our current block schedule, we block language arts and math. I was finding that the students that needed both intervention for math and language arts had an intervention class of 40 minutes, and then a math class of an hour 20, and then a reading class, language arts for an hour 20, and then intervention for an hour 20. So those students were getting about 4 hours of math and language arts a day. And we all know that kids that struggle in language arts and math are often the kids that have behavior issues in class because they're not having much success in that area, or they're not understanding it, so they're acting out. So to have a kid that has to lose some exploratory time in his exploratory classes to go to interventions, they were lacking a lot of the exercise to be able to sit and pay attention and gain the benefits from what those teachers were trying to get them to learn. So after looking at that, I decided that we needed to try to keep recess, so I kind of went on a campaign to keep recess and came up with a pretty good strategy and some research to get some buy-in for the building as well. The history of recess, as long as 1884, a document was presented to the Department of Superintendents of the National Education Association stating that the benefits socially and the benefits from being able to exercise with the peers outweighed any amount of time that might lack in the actual classrooms, just because the students would learn more and the students would be more attentive. So this debate actually has been going on since 1884. We talked about identifying the problem. The problem I felt was that we didn't have enough structured activity. We had recess before, but it just wasn't what we wanted it to be. So I looked at some data. At Brooks Middle School, we had 124 write-ups after recess. That we had 2 hours of the day, basically 2 periods after the day that had recess. And we had 124 write-ups in those 2 hours for the semester. So that was close to 62 write-ups per hour. In the rest of the class day, in the morning classes, we had 211. So that broke down to only 30 write-ups per hour in those classes. So as you can see, the afternoon classes after lunch, you see the behavior going down, and I'm sure the attention, the amount of learning that was going on in those classes was at a negative rate as well. So we tried to figure out a way to increase that. We also had quite a few fights going on at recess because we didn't give them specific things they had to do. It was just kind of a free-for-all, and they were chasing one another. We were not staffed properly, the transitions weren't good. Students were coming in from recess without lining up, the whistle would blow and they just leave everything and drop and run into the building, which would create problems in the hallway around that area, as well as those students who were going to the next hour classes. Those students were not showing up ready to learn. So we had quite a few looked at the data here and found out that recess wasn't working for us as far as behavior-wise, attention-wise. The PBRs went up after the lunch recess that we were currently having, and after visiting with some of the teachers and just my own personal knowledge, it took us, a good 3 to 5 minutes to calm those kids down after coming in from the old style of recess, and getting them refocused in our class. And I think that's for a lot of the negativeness of the recess from the teachers that we had currently didn't feel that it was a good value time that students were getting benefit out of. They felt it was just a free-for-all, and no one was really benefiting, especially the teachers and especially the administration. So first I had to get them to understand that structured recess would not only be a different idea than what we currently had, but it would also be beneficial if done correctly, and so I had to show them some of the benefits. So this is the biggest section of the paper, of the model, was getting that buy-in, because we all know that teachers can be tough to deal with at times if they don't feel like what we're doing is important, if they don't feel like what we're doing has value to them in their own specific discipline. So for the research we came up with, I found the biggest study was done by the American Association of Pediatric Medicine, and they are unanimous in their decision that they think that giving structured recess to adolescents is key for many different functions: motor skills, exploring, memory, language, cognitive skills, their dreaming ability to be able to play games fairly, laughter, interaction. But it came under 4 basic headings. One was social, emotional, physical, and cognitive. And there's research based for all those, and the American Association of Pediatrics is on board with this movement and wanting students to be involved in a structured style of recess. When I say structured, I mean having specific places to be, things to do, not just running around being able to do whatever, having a specific area designated for each activity that they're doing, allowing for to be with their friends if they want to. So we'll cover that a little bit later in the presentation. But the benefits here, cognitively, emotionally, physical, and socially, were just the things that I really hammered home with the staff to let them know that what we were doing for a reason, and we're trying to get these levels raised for the students. We were currently doing a Play 60 movement through the NFL grant in PE class, where we were touching on that, trying to get kids to play for 60 minutes a day. We see in the next slide that of the movement that they had, about 42% of their time was actually taken during recess. 32% is done during physical education, and then 26% in after school. So as you can see, a big chunk of these students' goals of getting their 60 minutes a day occurs during recess. So we really didn't want to eliminate that from those kids, because obviously some of those kids, when they go home, they don't do a whole lot just from the physical benefit. But from the social benefit, from the cognitive benefit, we felt that it was important as well. The big thing that stood out for me was the research shows that students who earn mostly A's are twice as likely to be regular physical activity than students that get D's and F's. So if you got a student that's getting all A's compared to a student getting D's and F's, you can see where the movement and the activity in those students are twice as likely to become and stay active before, during, and after their learning. So this was an easy sell for the teachers once we got them on some of this information, and so they could see what the study said. I think it's important to point out that any change you make in your building, has to have a reason. You have to have research based. Don't make a change just because the status quo isn't working. I got online and found hundreds of articles about the benefits for this. So it's something that's been researched, it's something that's been developed, it's something that's been tried, it's something that's been used in other areas, and just about any problem you can have, I'm sure, has been researched and done somewhere, somehow. And I think that's the most important thing that I got from doing this project was don't just change something, or don't just come up with an idea and say, hey, well, let's see if it's going to work. Because you never really know if it's going to have a positive outcome or a negative, or what kind of ripple effects it would have. So the ripples involved in this were all seemed to be positive, even from a financial standpoint, as we were able to do some things there. So I'm not sure if this is what we should do here or not, but this is something I showed my team, something I showed my administration, and I just thought it was a cute video. It's about 3 minutes, so hopefully you'll enjoy this.
I was talking to my friends the other day. We all realized that play has been taken away from us. Back in the day, you guys have more time to play with your friends. So this video is from us kids. Take it. Lately, it seems like all we do is drill all the time at school. With the recess that we do have, it seems like it's over by the time we get to our friends.
It's time for recess.
Yay!
Recess is over. Time to go back to class.
I didn't even get to play with my friends. Not good. Childhood obesity has tripled since the 1970s. Yes, the 1970s. How am I supposed to fight childhood obesity if I'm stuck in the chair most of the day? More recess gives us strong bones and lean body mass.
Sometimes I want to go outside so bad. I just stare at the clock and look out the window. That's what I do.
More physical activity helps us with 3 things. 1,
Problem solving.
who can tell me the answer to 16,000 times 155,000? 2, making good decisions. Hey, let's go pick on him. No, this is not okay. 3, and being a leader. Look at this face. Are tests more important than my sanity? No child left behind. It should be childhood left behind. The research people say that the more you take away my recess, the worse I do in class. Really want that? Then when I get more breaks, I understand what you're saying a lot more. They've been testing me since I was 3. Can I get a break? I mean, come on. This is my time to work with others. Don't I need that when I get older or something? I just want to be a kid. I just want to be a kid. I just want to play. It's important for my development. It needs more time. It's important for a calm classroom. Please, I want to explore things on my own. Please, please, please. Let us play. Just for a little bit longer.
So as you can see, those kids are pretty excited about it. I thought that was funny. Moving into it, the purpose of the project was to have an organized, supervised recess so that these kids can get some of that energy out and be prepared later in the day. Provide a brain break for them, something that is needed for all of us at times, to be fun, and then allow some time in the transition to be refocused before we enter the building. The way that we did that was to line up kids 3 or 4 minutes early, come in 3 different doors from outside, make them line up as opposed to just letting them go in, getting them in the line, making them be quiet, making them line up before we could go in, and then entering in the 3 different doors allowed for quicker entry and kind of dispersed them amongst that, so there wasn't such a great number coming in. And then we had teachers inside and outside those doors to correct those students coming in that were needing to be calm, so the hallways were a lot better, and then which led to better learning the first few minutes of the next hour. The way that we did this, we used we had 2 goals for shooting baskets. So if you wanted to do that, you could do that. I had some money from the 360 grant that we got basketballs for. Then we had some grass area where we alternated playing soccer and playing football. I got some old junior varsity goals from the Heights High School JV soccer team that we brought in that they had. And then every other day we played football, and we just let them know that they couldn't tackle. There was a specific supervised monitor there, and if they tackled, we just took the ball for that day. So it was just touch, and they were able to throw the football around to one another in that area. Then we had another area for foursquare right off the side of the basketball court. So the basketball and the foursquare were supervised by one person. The soccer/football was supervised by another one. And then even further on out, we had a track where all the students that weren't involved in one of those other activities would go to the track and walk the track with their friends. The important part there is not to separate them out, but let them do that as long as they're moving, as long as they're walking on the track. They can walk in lane 8, lane 1. They can walk with whomever they want, and then we spaced out supervisors on either side, and then they kind of rotated and moved so that those students would be supervised as well. We didn't allow chase. If the students were chasing one another, we made them come stand by an administrator. Sometimes that's harder for the 6th graders than others. Keeping your hands to yourself, of course, and line up after. The supervisors were very easy to do. We cut down from 3 lunches to 2 with our schedule, so we were able to have some more bodies from the lunchroom to outside. They lined up on the 2nd tile and kept their hands off the lockers and walked in a straight line outside to recess. And then, of course, there was the 4 monitors outside at the different places. And then we had teachers assigned to the doors as they came in during their last couple minutes of lunch, which didn't infringe on their lunchtime or their playing time. So it worked out good as far as a small duty for them. What we actually changed, we really changed the social and physical benefits for each. Students are ready and prepared to come into the classroom in the afternoon. We don't have the data yet to show the PBRs are down, but from the teacher feedback, it appears to be. It led to happy teachers and happy assistant principals because they weren't dealing with kids all the time, and they were able to see the kids outside in recess in a different way because they weren't supervising in the lunchroom because there was no one there. They all went to lunch and then all went to recess. So the APs could interact with those students outside as well when they weren't in meetings or dealing with things, and that really helped with the teacher or the students and the assistant principals being able to see the kids in a different light and vice versa. So, and you led to a refreshed learner, all of which led to the end key goal there was having some kids happy and ready to learn as they came back in. So, so far it's so good. I can't tell you all the details yet, but I do know that we've had some positive feedback, and the kids got to keep their recess, which of course is a huge plus for me being a PE teacher. And I believe that the change that we had with the structured recess was definitely beneficial to all involved. Thank you.